Hello, and welcome to Andrew Broussard Watercolors. Today, we've been on a Chinese brush painting kick, and we just previously did orchids. Now we're going to look at bamboo. Two thoughts that I wanted to share as I was setting up for this next one. Chinese brush painting goes through a lot of paper with practice. The paper is quite cheap, though, if you buy practice paper. You can get packets of 50 to probably 100 for probably $10 to $20 off Amazon. I haven't priced it in about 4 years, but I would think that was the range. This roll of paper I had gotten from Hobby Lobby for $11. That being said, there's also this special type of felt, which you've probably seen for children's toys, where it'll just make watermarks and then from there it'll dry. And that's another way that people practice within that, whether it's for just their handwriting or what would you call it? Yeah, just handwriting, the different marks for the Chinese brush strokes, etc. So you can go into that. You'd probably go on Amazon and type in like magic water pad, magic water writing, drawing. I should look into one. If you guys want me to order one and play around with one, let me know. Also, shout out to all the Patreon viewers. Thank you guys for your support. Y'all's support helps fund all these experiments. And if you'd like me to get one of those and play with it, I can do that. The other thing is that I'm umming a lot today. I'm so sorry. The approach that I'm taking is probably not correct, and I know that I'm changing things up and you're supposed to hold things in certain fashions, but I think that this is a good demonstration of learning a style or taking parts of a style and adopting it to the way you would want to use it. So you could follow the instructions to the T. In fact, in the Oriental arts, the way to learn is to copy to the T, try to mimic it as much as possible, which is totally fine. But there's also the idea that you can adopt different things. For example, we used the hake brush in the Western watercolor painting, which was an Oriental brush used for, I believe, large quantities of water. But I did see Mr. Henry Lee paint a large bamboo painting using a hake brush, so it definitely has its uses. That being said, let's grab some strong ink and we'll start playing around. With the bamboo stroke, from what I recall, it was kind of a come up and put that dot there. You can do a full body. You can wet it and go in further. It's all a matter of playing around. It's going to get thinner as it goes up, and the length of them will change as they get higher within it. I didn't really vary that length, but just be aware of that. And also note how these aren't side by side. They're not lining up. And I'm doing that to make sure that I create a sense of like a pattern and not have that boring repetition side by side. And we're going to switch things up completely by getting a light wash and exploring the sense of a light wash and getting depth. So these ones will hopefully visually sit in the background as they dry. The ones that I'm putting in now. Not flat. It's funny how forgiving the Chinese rice paper is. Let's see. Let's just use strong black and see how this will interact with our wet and wet over it. go. Now off of these, we can create our branches that are going to have our leaves on them. Now I never did get good leaves in bamboo painting. My friends would enjoy them, but I always felt like there was something off about it. I couldn't get that sharp edge that people get. And I guess it's the spring back or the memory of the brush where you want to come to a point like that. And if you pick up a book on Chinese brush painting, you'll find, and we talked about this with the orchid, that there's set patterns that you can learn. I believe there was the 2, the 4, and the 5, and there's a 3. And one of the things you'll see when the actual masters paint, they'll let the ink dry, well, not dry, lighten as they paint. So I'm not refreshing the brush or anything. And the concept, the goal, is that my brush marks are going to start lightening up. Let's put some here so we start getting that comparison of it lightening. I always feel like I start overdoing them and not getting a good variation of density. I'm going to hasten the process and just grab just a wetter wash. And using that tonality gives you a sense of depth. I'm using the Yasutomo bottled Chinese ink. You could get the bottled Sumier ink. There's a few brands. There's one that I think Blick or Jerry's Artorama sells that comes in a beautiful, I think it's a porcelain type container. I don't own it, but it's cheap. And it might be something worth looking into. So you can get bottles of ink for cheap. You can use I'd assume you could use the Speedball ink, but you'd want to be careful with it drying on the brush. There's probably different chemicals within it. The India ink and the Chinese ink are supposed to be the same, but there is variation from company to company. Also, if you really get into it, you can grind your own ink, which I had done in some videos about a year ago, which if you're really sitting down to paint, you can do that. And the ground ink, I believe you could get more tonal variety within it. So there's a lot to play around with these monochromatic paintings. Okay, let's see. I think we'll leave this one at this, and then we'll move on to just another one. We're just kind of dusting off the brushes. So I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great day.